Joe Ducard here, and I want to give you a 7-step strategy that's simple and effective to get you more dates from online dating apps. Now, whether you're using Tinder, Bumble, or Hinge, those are my 3 favorites, or any other apps that are out there, I want to give you an effective strategy that you could use to replicate success across any of the ones that you want to use. So let's jump right into it, and I'll give you my 7 steps for online dating success. All right, so the first part of the strategy is going to be the most important, especially with the apps, is going to be obviously your pictures, okay? If you are swiping around, swiping left, swiping right, whatever it may be on these things here, you are going to be displaying yourself in pictures first. So people are going to be swiping just based off of what you present to them. So your pictures are definitely the most important. And what you want to do is you want to test your pictures. 3 of my favorite ways of testing your pictures are going to be on a website called Photo Feeler, by using the actual app Hinge, because on Hinge people have to like something on your profile to engage with you. So it'll show you what the women are liking on your profile. Now you could use this to come up with interesting or funny things to say, which we'll get to in a second, but you can also use this to test out your pictures. So that's definitely a favorite way. And the third favorite way is to use social media. So I'll use Instagram, see which posts got the most comments and likes, and I'll use those pictures now for my pictures for my online dating profiles. I definitely suggest to guys to pay a friend or even a professional photographer to get a photo shoot. It may cost $100 or so just to have somebody take some pictures of you for an hour, and you get great photographs of yourself. So it's definitely a really good idea. And also now, with the power of, I put it away, but with the power of our smartphones on something like an iPhone, anything from the 7 Plus up, you now have portrait mode, which will blur out the background and give you a professional looking quality photo. So definitely want to get a good picture of yourself. Smiling and looking at the camera has proven to work best for me, other people, and they've actually done studies on it recently as well too. Not the old looking away, trying to look tough, or the James Bond type of suave, it's like blue steel or whatever that naturally a lot of guys want to go for in these pictures. What you definitely want to do is have a genuine smile, looking at the camera, presenting yourself well. That's going to be your best for your first picture. Now, other things to add are definitely a cool lifestyle, things that you're into. On Hinge, you could add videos as well too, and I put a video of me playing my guitar on there, and that was my most liked piece of my profile. So definitely showing things about yourself that you're into in your pictures can be a good idea, but you definitely want to have a good picture of yourself, either full body or from the waist up, or a portrait of just yourself smiling, looking at the camera as your main picture. And like I said, test it on those different platforms and see which ones get the best response. You'll often be surprised. The second step is your bio. Now on the apps, you don't have a lot of room for putting a really long bio, and I definitely don't think you should. I've seen people be very successful, myself included, with a short and sweet bio. So the first thing I like to do is put a funny line at the top. A buddy of mine put bronze medalist outside spoon in the Olympics, right? So something kind of out there, something a little bit funny. Put that as your first part. What I also like to put is hobbies and things that I'm into, because I have some interesting hobbies. So I'll put a funny or witty line. I'll put my hobbies after that: guitar, meditation, fitness, hiking, whatever it may be. Put those things into the bio. List, like, I'd say about 5 or so of them are good to list. And then the last thing I'll put is kind of what I'm looking for. So, and this depends on you. You know, what are you looking for? So I would put something like, let's meet up in person and see if we get along and take it from there, right? So I'd put that so girls know what I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to just text around and waste a bunch of time or looking for validation. I want to meet you in person and see where things are and go from there. Now, the third part of the strategy is going to be messaging, and messaging is very important, obviously. Now, on an app like Bumble, girls will start messaging you first, and on Tinder and on Hinge as well too. You could definitely take over the conversation and start first. Now, what I say is, even if you're on an app like Bumble, you still want to take over the conversation and go, because as much as girls say they hate it, their first messages, what are they always? Hey, what's up? Hey, how's your Saturday? Hey, how are you? or usually just hey or hi at that. They don't put a lot of effort in that first message. So I suggest that you take over starting right from that first message. So if you're going to comment on something on her profile or her pictures, that's a good thing. You want to ask a question definitely with your first few messages. That's another big strategy. If you're just responding to things that she says, the conversation will usually die out and the girl will blame it on you for being boring. But you want to answer a question, throw some humor in there, all the stuff that I talk about in my flirting videos and my flirting guide that you can get on my site. All that stuff that I have in there, those 5 different ways of flirting, bringing in humor, unconventional conversation, all that stuff I have in there. Besides touching, can't really do that on the app, but besides that, those are all good things to add in to have a fun and flirty conversation. One little tip I like to do is to break messages up into multiple messages, right? So it's more, you want to definitely, the whole point is to get her to respond and get her engaged with you, okay? So if you send one long message versus breaking it up into 2 or 3 messages, you're more likely to get a response, right? You've invested more and it makes her want to come back and invest some as well. Good thing is to always end, like I said, on a question so that she has something to answer and something to give back to the conversation. You want to get a little bit of flirting back and forth, a little bit of get to know you, and definitely some humor and things in that, and get a good dialogue going back and forth. Now the fourth and my favorite part of my method, and I think is a real cool thing that I do, is putting a fork in the road. So let's say you've been messaging back and forth. Let's say 5, 10 messages even. It can usually be enough going back and forth. You want to put a fork in the road and kind of see where she stands. So I like to ask questions at this point and say, hey, do you just use this app for fun or do you actually meet people in person? Just that question right there has done so well for me because it now weeds out, are you just on here just for some attention and validation, or do you actually want to meet up? And it puts her in the frame of, yes, I want to meet up, or no, I don't want to meet up. And it's so powerful. A lot of girls that I've met, they've even said that they've used these apps and barely ever met up with guys. So what that's saying is they're using it just for entertainment, kind of get some validation and go back and forth a little bit. But you want to definitely weed those girls out and you want to get them in person. So this is the point where you say something like that. You know, are you just here to looking for a pen pal, or do you meet up with people in person, right? And almost all the time you get a really good response from that. And if she responds favorably, something like, I have before, or yes, I'm open to it, or something like that, or I don't know, I want to get to know somebody, but yeah, I'm down for it, something like that. As long as she is open for it, then right there I'll say, okay, cool, yeah, we should definitely get together sometime this next week. What's your number? I'll text you. And then I get her phone number right there. That's usually the best time to get the number once she's agreed to actually meeting up in person. Now the fifth part is setting up the logistics for the date. So once I have the phone number, you know, a little bit of humor and maybe a meme here or there, or a little short video or a GIF. I really like to send those a lot in text messaging. But definitely saying, hey, what's your schedule like? Get a view of her schedule for the week and ask her when she's free. So when she has a free time, you check your schedule. If it works out, set a date. You want to set a date and do the logistics through the texting. If you've done all the other steps right up to this point, then all you should have to do once you have the phone number is text her, set up logistics. If she seems a little off, a little nervous, I used to do a phone call a lot, but what I'm seeing nowadays is girls are texting so much that they're open to meeting up with just having text messages. They don't even need a phone call. Right now, a phone call can definitely help you solidify a date. And it's not a bad idea if you're texting a bunch with a girl. Maybe it's later in the evening, she's home, ask her what she's up to. She says she's home, pick up the phone, give her a call, show you a real person. That'll definitely solidify the date. But I used to say it was 100% necessary, but nowadays I'd say they're definitely more open to meeting up without even having the phone call. So set the logistics, set the date over text. So if you've done those steps, they should work out really well for you. You have good pictures, you're sending interesting messages, you're asking her questions, keeping them going, putting her at that fork in the road there, getting around on dates, should be working fine for you. Now, sometimes what I've seen with these apps is they start really high. They show you a lot of pretty girls and stuff to give you a lot of matches, but then they start to slow down. I've noticed that a lot. So one thing I like to do is actually delete the apps once they slow down and then give it a fresh start. Sometimes months down the line, I've gone as long as 6 months or more off of the apps and then gone back on it. Sometimes I get kind of over them and then get back into them, or I get new pictures and start up. But definitely taking a fresh start is definitely always a good idea, especially when you get new pictures or after you've watched this video, instead of taking your apps you've been using, your old bio, your old pictures where you're probably already ranked low in the algorithm, what you should do is delete them, maybe keep them off for a few days, gather your pictures, get your bio ready, do all that separately, and then when you're ready to go, re-download the apps, put the fresh stuff in, and give yourself a fresh start. And the seventh part that I have to say, which almost nobody will say, right? You'll see people online, any guy could get this girl, or use my method, it works for everybody, and guaranteed to get you 9s and 10s and all these crazy claims. This isn't a crazy marketing video. This is me being real with you and sharing with you my experience and things like that. I have seen guys really good looking. I've seen guys maybe who weren't traditionally good looking, all different levels that have done really well. But the thing to remember is also different places that you're located. All right, when I'm in New York City, the apps crush. When I'm in smaller cities or college cities, they don't necessarily do as well for me personally. So what I definitely think you should do is to try them out. Try the stuff I said, get that fresh start, give it a good run, give it a few weeks or so to try them out, see how they work. And if the apps don't work for you, they're just not working for you right now. Take some time off them. Nothing beats, and my favorite way is meeting women in person. There's a lot of ways to meet women, but going out, meeting them in person, whatever the get together or gathering is, you going up and being in person with more of your assets, with more of your personality and your presence, shaking somebody's hand, smiling, and meeting them face to face is so powerful and not to be underestimated. And if the apps don't work for you, then definitely focus your time somewhere where you can have more success and more strategy. There's a lot of competition on the apps. Why? Because there's a low barrier to entry. I could sit on the couch and just start swiping and hope to get a date, right? But guys who are gonna get dressed up, take care of themselves, go out, approach a woman confidently and hold a conversation, especially nowadays, are starting to stand out more and more and more and more. And if you could be one of those guys, you can have a really solid chance of having success. So that's my strategy. Give the apps a try. Let me know how they work out. And I'm going to be filming a lot of videos over this next month. So if you have any topics or questions that you'd like for me to cover, just leave a comment below on what you'd like to hear about, and I'd be happy to record it for you.